Hi everyone, this is Mark Hastings and welcome to Mark the Poet, the podcast. Hi everyone, this is Mark and this is episode 6 of Mark the Poet, the podcast. And on today's podcast, it is New Poetry Day, and you'll discover why it's New Poetry Day after this short message. Okay, so today is New Poetry Day because today I wrote 2 new poems, and as a first for the podcast, I'm going to be recording my poems before I've even had the chance to share them anywhere else, whether online, in my blog markthepoet.me, or anywhere. So if you listen to this now, you're going to hear some new poems that I wrote this morning. One I wrote on my way into Birmingham City this morning while I was commuting, and the other I wrote while I was sitting outside Starbucks enjoying my caramel macchiato in the shine of the sun. It's a very beautiful hot day today here in England, and I used the conditions of today to inspire me. So first of all, I'm going to read the poem that I wrote earlier while I was commuting, and usually the way it goes when I'm writing, I'll just if I'm commuting, then I'll just start writing. Something will pop into my head, a phrase, a word, and then I'll just use that phrase or that word as a seed, which I think about, and then I just use as the inspiration to just begin writing something, anything, and the effects of that, the end result of that, differs from poem to poem, but I always seem to get something out of that, and you will be the judge of if my poem, the poem that I wrote today, is any good. And I'm my own worst critic. Sometimes I'll write a poem and I won't share it because after I've read it, I'm not pleased with it for some reason, and I'll just hold it back and I'll just think, I'll just keep that to myself. But as I say, today I'm just going to share what I've written, and don't hold back, and that's the best way to be sometimes. But anyway, today I'm going to start with the poem that I wrote while I was commuting, and it is called Painting by Numbers. The sun shines during the day. The sky flashes during the night. The heat is too much for some people to take, that they have to spend most of their time sitting in the shade. Within the dark clouds above, storms rage and echo the unparalleled power of nature's electricity that manifests itself in the form of both light and sound, occasionally frenetically. The summer months are usually defined by the colours that are seen emanating all around. During the summer months, people usually take their time to seek out a particular place that they hope or may already know will be somewhere special, memorable, hopeful, and profound. When painting a picture of the world that they see, some people like to use examples of other things to compare their vision to. For example, when some people see a beautiful person who is perfect to them in every way, they may compare them to a flower, such as a daisy or a rose, and in doing so, they are knowingly or accidentally speaking in the language of poetry. Art, in its infinite forms, is an expression of an artist who wishes to give an example of who they are, what they are, and what drives their heart, to share the story of something, somewhere, or someone, so powerfully and yet so effortlessly, as if they were painting by numbers. And I hope you like that poem. I guess it wasn't too bad. That's the first time that I've read it back since I wrote it this morning. Okay, so now I'm going to, and I wrote that poem on my phone as I was commuting, like I said. The next poem that I wrote, the one that I wrote while I was sitting outside Starbucks, I wrote in my notebook, which I used to do a lot more. Used to write it down in my notebook, but I seem to go from one to the other, sometimes for speed. If something just hits me, the inspiration just overtakes me in the moment, then I'll just get out my phone, go into the notes app, and then just start writing, and allow the stream of consciousness to just flow straight into the phone so that I can quickly share it. But yes, sometimes I do write in a notebook with a pen, and yeah, I've got a lot of notebooks. They've all mounted up over the years, but I keep them for nostalgic reasons, I guess you could say. And to me, my notebooks are like old journals that people keep, and I suppose every poem that I wrote is like a journal entry of my journey and what I've experienced. Okay, so this poem, the one I wrote, is called Bask, and I hope you like it. Basking in the sun is what some people do for pleasure and for fun. Basking in the shine of divine light is what some people do to spend their time while they are on their way to finding the seed of an idea that will inspire the path to come to all that they need. Basking in the heat of the star at the centre of our galactic backyard is something that many forms of life on our planet choose to do for pleasure and to recharge their spirit. Basking in the glow of the fireball that everything and everyone knows is something that can be both a gift and a curse for those who live upon our beautiful green and blue planet. Basking, sunbathing, embracing, bathing within the energy and the flow of an ever-present force of nature can be like walking upon a double-edged sword. Basking as the world seemingly burns, protected only by a thin layer of protection, should remind us all just how vulnerable we are to things that we cannot see, but over time seem to last a long time after we choose to bask. So short in comparison, but that's just how it came to me. And yeah, when I was writing that poem, the heat and the sun was beating down on me so hard. I was both basking and sweating at the same time because it is a very hot day today. But yeah, that's how it happens sometimes. The poetry just comes and it just blossoms like a flower, and the sun and the heat and the beautiful light of a summer day can be all that anyone, a poet, an artist, a writer, a gardener, for example, can just be inspired to do something with the gift of insight and inspiration that they have within them, that everyone has within them, but it just manifests itself in different ways and different forms. And like everything, like sculpture, like people who build houses, architects, that is all art in itself. People who build cars, it's a team effort most of the time, but it's still an art, and it cannot be, it should be seen as nothing short of an art, because like all forms of art, there are many different things that have to work in tandem with one another for the end result to be something worthwhile and something to be enjoyed and to have some kind of longevity to it. And some people, they can spend a lot of time working on something to get it right, and then they spend maybe days, weeks, months until it is just as they want it to be. Whereas I am the reverse of that, I suppose. Especially when I'm writing a poem, I just jump on that stream of consciousness. I just write it out, and I write whatever comes to me in the moment. I don't stop until I've written something, and then after it's written, to me it's done. But when I'm writing a story, a short story, or a longer story that would go into to fill an entire short novel, then of course that takes longer to write, longer to edit. But for me, my writing style, my writing process with poetry is just to have an idea and to just write, to don't think too much about it, to not anguish too much about it, to not worry too much about it, because you shouldn't worry about art. You shouldn't worry about what you have within you. You should just express it, whether good or bad. Just let it out and just see what happens. And you never know what you're gonna get, as far as Gump would say. But that's it. Life is art, and art is life. And you shouldn't worry about things that you don't know are going to happen, because anything could happen. So you just need to live your life, and if you're an artist, just create art. Make good art, as the author Neil Gaiman would say, who's actually one of my favourite authors, and I got to meet once. That's a story for another podcast, but I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed my poems that I wrote today, and I hope you have a great day. Hi there, I'm Mark Hastings, If you don't already know me, I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm an author. I'm the author of 10 books, and this is my podcast, Mark the Poet, which is an extension of my website, markthepoet.me, where I regularly post brand new poems that I've written. And as I said, I'm the author of 10 books. First one was Poet of the Sphere. The second was The Sound of Mark. The third was The Eternal Boy. The fourth was The Dreamer and the Dream. The fifth was Truly Madly Deeply. The sixth was Too Close to the Sun. The seventh was The Wolf in Me. The eighth was Playing God. The ninth was The Wolf in You. And the 10th and most recent one came out this year and is called The Rambler. And this book is a book of poetry. I'm majoritively write poetry, but some of the books that I've shown you that I've written are stories, some short stories, some in long form. Yeah, so this is my podcast. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you comment if you like what you see, what you hear, and comment, share more of my poetry and more of my recollections of how I wrote what I have written and what I am hopefully going to write in the future. Thanks for listening.